Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's October 22nd. This will be our chart listing for the day. And as you can see, we continue to just work sideways. Today looks very similar to yesterday on the daily chart. Looks somewhat similar on the 2000 tick chart, but we sold off early during the overnight hours and then rallied most of the day higher. Actually rallied up to new um, highs for the day, only to sell off into the close and close down somewhat still from yesterday. So, but the day overall looks, again, it's just mostly congested sideways stuff. So I think we're just still consolidating some of this last move up. And you can see we're getting further and further into out, or further and further out of the overbought situation. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, take a look at that, and go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, here's a look at our 2000 tick chart. You can see my news did load this morning. Um, there were two news items today. They were medium. They're red because they've already transpired. These two are for tomorrow, 9 and 9:30 a.m. The way this news indicator works is it rolls off your chart after um, so much time. I fixed it where you could leave it on there up to 10 hours. So that way it'll be there at the end of the day. But you can see that even though this looks red, it's not really. That's just what color it makes it after when it's going live. It normally would be red and then it turns to orange. Or actually, I'm sorry, because it's medium, it would be green and it turns to this orange color. Letting you know that it went active, and it stays on there for up to 10 hours. So the way I've got it set up now. And so this is what we're looking for tomorrow. We've got two medium ones again tomorrow. So nothing that we're too concerned about. Anyway, they'll turn orange tomorrow. These two will fall off and these two will jump on. And I'm not sure if it'll show. I'm thinking it's only showing tomorrow's because I loaded it so late, reloaded it so late in the day just to verify that it would still load up. And so we'll see tomorrow if it shows the following day as well. I think it shows 24 hours in advance. So I have it set to show today only, but it's still showing tomorrow's stuff there. So we'll have to see what it does tomorrow. But anyway, I'll continue to test this and tweak it, make little tweaks. I've made a few little tweaks to it, but we'll continue to watch it and see about any tweaks that need to be made and tweak it. And then when I'm convinced that it's working properly and updating properly, I'll send it out. But anyway, let's get to the chart. You can see we traded down early. You've got a strong trend with a break and a move to a new low, and then you had a two-legged correction and it went lower again, but it bottomed out there and it started higher. I drew this trend line off the first two swings, but it didn't seem to be catching prices, so I started another one here. This one got confirmed. This one never really got confirmed, but you can see the midline coming into play, and you can see it gave you a perfect upper half measured move as well. So I do believe the blue one is valid, although it just didn't really come back into play very much. So, but there it is. And we did have this big gap, and notice we filled that gap, and then prices closed lower. This is where we closed yesterday. This is where we opened during the at 8:30, and so there's that gap there. You'd assume that this part in the gray wouldn't be here, so we would have closed here yesterday and opened right here where it's white today. But let's zoom in. We'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. And 7 o'clock came just as we're making this next leg up. But notice we pretty much got a double bottom here, and so you got to trend up, first entry, second leg up, and there's a second entry short on a break below that bar right there. I like going short there. And that's a quick move down. You could have looked at this. There's another way you could see this as a range here, like so, and you could treat this like a failed breakout as well. So you could have read this either way. I just treated it like two legs up and a second entry short. But you could just treat this like a breakout, which will probably fail. And turns back down, and you got this one working down this khaki channel. You get a break, move to a new low. It just does make a new low, and it actually breaks lower below that big bearish bar and reverses instantly. I like going long right above that. If nothing else, just to ride it back to the EMA, but you may catch the low of the day. But no, it wasn't to be. You actually get a second entry short, and I like going short again. Notice the trend working up, close outside, first entry, second entry. And you could have entered this one on the engulfing bar if you liked. It was a little congested, so I think you're better off to wait till it closes and go short. But you could have entered that on the engulfing bar because it's mostly all body and it's very bullish. So that's probably going to trap people when it comes by there, and you'll probably get a quick scalp if nothing else. But this runs back down and tests these lows again. It actually bounces off the blue channel and confirms it right there, but it also sets this steeper channel. There was a second entry long here, but I don't like this setup. It's too congested, and that's an engulfing bar. First entry, first entry, first entry, first entry. There actually was a second entry here, but it's just two side-by-side bars with a lot of stem on them. Just ignore those because you see what happens. It turns up and comes right back. You're too far away. You're too flat here. You're not getting very far away from the EMA. So, but you get two legs back down here and a second entry long right here, right off the key entry point. I like that long. It's a nice signal bar, and then it makes a triple test here. So I like going short again as long as you got room to get out before you come back to these lows. And you can see that confluence right there where this support of this possible range and the trend line converge right there. And so it turns back down and bounces right there. Actually, I can't remember if I talked about, the triple test, goes short, and then it bounces here again. Now you get a triple test off the low with another nice signal bar with plenty of room to get out. I like going long there. And I didn't mark this one. I think it would have worked. I'm pretty sure it worked, but I'll explain why I didn't like it. It's just enough to get out on it. But I didn't like this one because, first of all, it looks like congestion. This green trend channel is still in play, and we've more than proved this trend line is in play now. So, and notice the last time it touched here, they're just going sideways. You're not getting rejection up here this time. So even though that looks like a pretty good signal bar, I didn't like it because this trend channel is still in play. That's the first close outside, so there's a good chance it could go back and make a retest of the high, and that's what happens. This thing just takes off. You get the break, move to a new high, and then you make a lower high here, and it's also a first entry, second entry. So I like going short on that second entry lower high right there off the upper side. And that's a pretty good little move down, but you get a break, move to a new you get a break outside first of all, you get a break outside the khaki one, and then you got on this green one working up, you get a break off it and then move to a new high. So you do assume this move is going to make the retest of the low on this, and that's what happens. Because there's two legs in there, you could just treat this like another channel. I really think this was the retest of the low on this. because we didn't quite get back to the highs. There is a triple test across there, but I don't like the setup. There is a second entry short there. If you'd have got a good bearish bar, I'd say go short there, but you just didn't get it. But I'd play this one like a trend anyway. You do get the break and finally a new low. There's a second entry long there, but again, not a good enough signal bar. We're just kind of moving sideways here. And I don't see any setups that really I like there. This one is tempting, but it makes a new low, and you're better off to wait on a higher low, and this is why, because it makes another new low. I'm not sure if you'd have gone long there, if you'd have made it or not. Yeah, so you'd have had a 4-tick failure there, or 5. You'd have got it got to your 4 ticks, but it wouldn't have passed through, and you wouldn't have got. You might have got out of that, and you might not. Most likely, you probably got stopped out there, and then it went exactly where you thought. And that's why on these breakouts we wait on higher lows in most cases. This one pretty much you could call a double bottom if you'd had a good signal bar, but this one makes a new low altogether, just like this one does. So I don't like the signal bar on that one either. And then suddenly we're going higher, and there's actually a trend channel here. And you get a close outside, move to a new high, and a second entry short. I like that one. Doesn't give you a whole lot, but it does make a new high, overall high as well. So you got your close outside on this cyan colored channel right here, and then you run and you get a new high right here. So this was a retest. That's why I probably didn't mark that originally, but the way this is kind of sideways stuff, I'd go ahead and draw that anyway, and you can see where it plays out here. And it gives you enough. It doesn't go very far, but it gives you enough to scalp out. And it looks like we're ending up just in congestion there. Turns out to be a bigger channel. But you get a failure out there, no setup, a bounce here. This is like a failed break lower at this point. You think the channel is only this big or this wide, and so this is just like a failure out the bottom. Again, not a good enough signal bar, and you're probably better off to wait on a higher low, but it runs back up here, and then we're just kind of chopping outside. It never really gives you anything until here. Now you retest the original high of the channel, and it's a lower high. So I like going short right there. This one's close to being green. You could probably argue for that to be green. But what you got going on here is you've got a break of the cyan channel and a move to a new high, and then you've got a battle for whether it's going to go lower or continue higher again. So you're just kind of at equilibrium here. And so I'm just playing the range, really, is what you're playing here. Notice it bounces off the lows here and then comes back and turns down inside again. At this point, I didn't like this one. Notice you do get a close outside, so you'd expect to retest the low. This one you're still in it, so I'm a little wary of going short there. But you know, sometimes there's always a good chance the channel or the range is going to overpower a little micro channel like that. But you're taking a chance. You're better off to wait on that lower high, which you get here, and it's not a very good setup. So, but maybe you take that if you want to be a little aggressive. Then you bounce down here again. No real setup. And now you got a triple test up here. And you did get it. Notice this green channel. You got the break and a move to a new high as well. And so I like going short there. It looks like the channel is just back in play. It's good for a scalp, not much more, and then it reverses. And you can't go long right there either. But you can draw your trend line, trend channel. If you continue to get setups, you could take them, but you just get a break outside here and a second entry short. And then that fails and prices go higher. Now this is not really a place you look for a failure reversal, so I didn't like taking the failed second entry, especially off an inside bar like that, because it just looks like congestion. But this thing takes off, and this is a pretty strong move up, and this is its own real separate channel. And this is one of those real strong move. So if you notice what's going on, you could probably take every signal bar that comes back to the trend line. So there's a few more entries there. Then you get a break. You get a first entry and second entry. This is the first break of this khaki channel, so you're looking for a new low. So I like going short, and that's what, 6 ticks. You can get in that with the 8-tick rule. Pretty nice move down. And it bounces back off. It's kind of like the old trend channel, kind of still in play here. So, but that is also the midline of the blue channel. If you see the midline coming in, that's what we really bounced off of, in my opinion. So you kind of have confluence there. So it looks like maybe it bounced off the original trend line like it did here when it got back inside. But I think it's really just bouncing off that midline. And it turns up. And again, this is a pretty strong, it looks like another one of these is starting to form, and you may get that second leg up. So maybe you go long on that one right there if you recognize that. There's a signal bar back to the key entry point. There's another one here, but this is well after 230. And then you get your break, move to a new high, and then you make a lower high, and you trend it down into the close. So if we'd have closed up here, we'd had a little better day, but it doesn't. It sells off and still closes in the upper two-thirds of the bar, two-thirds of the bar, I think, though. So anyway, there it is. That's how I saw it today. There's some pretty good trades here, actually, until after lunch. There wasn't much after lunch. So anyway, I'll continue to monitor the news item here, and I think you can still use the other one. You just have to reload it, like I said. And I would be careful about pinging the don't refresh this too often, because if you do, you'll get limited. And if you get limited a bunch of times, you might get banned. Evidently, people have been, I guess they're tired of people coming and getting their data, because they're starting to make it where it's harder to get it, and they may shut it down completely. So again, it's not the indicator that's not working, it's where we get the data from. And as far as I can tell, it's the only place I can find that you can get the data without having to pay for it. And so just be careful how many times you ping the site trying to get that data, because you could lose your privilege of getting in there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.